Smiley with podcast number 24. This podcast was supposed to be about drug abuse, but the rehab center wasn't ready for me yet. So instead, have you ever heard of the book Cross Creek? Or have you heard of the book The Yearling? I'm going to take you to where those books were written by Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings in a tiny town called Cross Creek, Florida. Rawlings was a very tough, independent, determined, and gifted writer. In her book, she makes you feel like you're actually there. However, before we get into the main topic, let's listen to some music. Last year, I wrote this song for a wedding. It's called I Do. So here it is. Here we go. Today is the best day of my life, for today I married you. Well, I can't see myself with anyone else. Looking back, I always knew. Now I've been thinking about this marriage, thinking about what it means to me. And the very first thing that came to my mind is after all these years together there will be no more longing, no more yearning, no more fretting, no more praying for my soulmate to finally come through. No more wishing, no more hoping, no more wanting, no more waiting for the one I love to tell me I do. Now we're both very strongly willed. We don't always see things the same. Well, I now realize that we're on the same side. I understand there's no more blame. Commitment is a scary word, yet I am no longer afraid. I'm now totally ready to accept the fact that after all these years together, we got it made. No more longing, no more yearning, no more fretting, no more praying. My soulmate finally come through. No more wishing, no more hoping, no more wanting, no more waiting for the one I love to tell me I do. No more longing, no more yearning, no more fretting, no more praying for my soulmate finally come through. More wishing, no more hoping, no more wanting, no more waiting for the one I love to tell me I do. I do. I really, really do. It's a fun song and I hope you enjoyed it. Now, on to Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings Historic State Park. Here we are at Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings Historic State Park, and now we're on the path to her place. Our tour guide will be a retired park ranger that worked in this park years ago. We will meet her in a replicated barn near the main house. She gave us a very fun, informative tour. She first talked about a movie, then a little history on Rawlings. If you don't care for history or find it boring, just fast forward 8 minutes or so. I found it very interesting. I did ask the ranger if I could shoot this tour, and she said yes, as long as it wasn't for money, and I have not made anything from my podcast yet. I just shot snippets of the tour, so if you enjoy this podcast, please go visit and take the tour yourself. It was a wonderful, thorough tour. This ranger did an excellent job. Let's see what she has to say.
1983 is the year the movie Cross Creek came out. Who has seen that movie? Anybody?
I'm trying to find it. And you can't.
It used to be on Netflix. It's really easy.
Really?
I didn't know they made a movie.
Yeah, but here's what I want to tell you about it.
Yeah,
It's a
Mary
beautiful
Steinberg.
film, but it's not true to the book. So in some ways, it's easier for me to give a tour to people who don't know the movie because you're not constantly going, but her house was on the water. but she came here by herself. No, she didn't. So, anyway, but it is a pretty film. And that movie, in 1983, when I was working out here, turned this little quiet state historic site into a major tourist spot. And we had buses parked along there, belching fumes, 100 people at a time standing in this yard. We were giving tours 7 days a week, 15 minutes apart, 20 people on every tour.
Wow.
No, we lost our voice. I mean, I literally could not talk at the end of the day.
wow.
It was awful. Awful. So I'm really happy now that, and they changed it. It was a really long time ago. I ended up leaving and having a whole different career, but it was just crazy. So if you get a chance, watch the movie. It's pretty, but just know it is not accurate to the book. So read the book. It's better. So Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings, born in Washington, D.C., went to college in Madison, Wisconsin, an English major, graduated Phi Beta Kappa, and at the University of Wisconsin met her first husband, Charles Rawlings, and they both wanted to be writers. They get married, lived in Louisville, Kentucky for a while, writing. He wants to move home, which is Rochester, New York, so they live in Rochester about 9 years. They're working for 2 different newspapers, and in March of 1928, they come on vacation right here. Why here? There was nothing here. But Charles had 2 brothers who lived just down the road on 301 who had come down to be part of the real estate boom in Florida. So Marjorie and Charles come on vacation, and you can imagine the difference in the weather in Rochester, New York in March and Cross Creek, Florida. I think March is one of our prettiest months. The orange blossoms were permeating the air, and Marjorie's describing the scent, and she says the golden oranges hanging under the jade-like green leaves. And she called it that untamed place in the sun, and said how we could write if we could get the brothers to find a working farm for us, something that would bring money in until we could start selling our fiction. While they were working as journalists, they've been trying to sell their own work for years. Nobody wanted it. They had nothing but rejection notices from every publisher. So Marjorie wants to put all of her creative energy into her own writing. They go back up north. They end up buying this place sight unseen, which just boggles my mind. These were city people. They didn't know anything about living in rural Florida. They didn't know anything about raising citrus. But they bought it, $14,400, and they got 72 acres of land, an old barn. This is a replica. The tenant house, that's not the original where their hired help could live. That's open. You can go in there after. And the old farmhouse, which is the real deal. It had 1,600 citrus trees on the property when they bought it, and she planted 1,000 more. Her property goes way back across the road over here, almost down to the lake, down past the duck pen. And where you all parked today was the pasture for her evil-tempered cow, Dora. She writes about Dora a lot in Cross Creek. She said she was the meanest cow in the state of Florida, but she gave the richest cream. So she got So Marjorie, the making money on the oranges never happened. They were too far north. Their grove froze to the ground. They got pests. The bottom fell out of the citrus market. But Marjorie's writing takes off, and she sells a piece to Scribner's magazine, Jacob's Ladder, for $700. And I'm going to show you what she does with the money as soon as we go in the house. More important than getting the $700, which they desperately needed, was she got the recognition of the famous editor at Scribner's, Maxwell Perkins. Maxwell Perkins was the editor for Hemingway, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Thomas Wolfe, the biggies. And he wrote Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings a letter and said, I like what you're doing, send me more. And this is when Marjorie is beginning to write about Florida crackers, the old pioneer stock. And this becomes her muse for the rest of her writing career. Charles Rawlings is not finding the success that Marjorie is. He wants to be a writer too. He wants to write about Great Lakes, yachting, sailing, and he's here in Cross Creek. After 5 years, they split up, they divorce, he leaves. Marjorie lives here by herself then for 9 years. And the locals don't ever really know what to make of this woman. And a lot of Cross Creek is about the two of them figuring each other out. And it makes for really good reading. So she lives here for 9 years by herself, and then she gets married again. She marries Norton Baskin. He was a hotel manager down in Ocala. Marjorie has never really taken very good care of her health. She has a mild heart attack while she's out here by herself. Her doctor says less stress, less traffic, less alcohol, less smoking. She was a chain smoker of Lucky Strikes, and she died in 1953 at the age of 57 over in St. Augustine. She had a stroke. When she died, she left all of this to the University of Florida to become a writer's retreat. And Norton, being the hotel man, was not going to leave the furniture for the college kids. So he took everything out, almost everything, and put it in storage. Park Service took over in 1970, and Norton brought everything back. So the house is exactly the way it looked when Marjorie was living here. All her original furniture and artwork, everything. So we have a lot to thank Norton. Yeah.
Why didn't she take his name on Baskin, her second husband?
Because she was already very, very professionally established as a writer
As
as Marjorie
under
Kinnan
Rawlings.
Rawlings.
Okay.
She wanted to drop Rawlings. She wanted to go back to Kinnan after she divorced. She was very, very proud of her name, and it's Kinnan, but it's Kinnan, not Kinnan. And she was very specific about that. And and they said, no, you can't. At that point, she'd already sold some books, and they said, no, you need to keep Rawlings.
Okay.
And she did go by Baskin socially.
Socially.
You'll see things where they refer to Mrs. Norton Baskin, which that's what they did back then.
Here you can see the barn we were in. You can see the barn had a garage to park a car or a tractor or whatever. Notice the setting. We're in the old Florida woods, just like they used to be. And then here's the house where Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings actually lived and wrote.
It had no screens, no electricity, no running water. Marjorie got malaria twice while she lived here. Every time she sold a book or got a little bit of money, she made a home improvement. The porch was just big enough for one person to walk around. She enlarged this porch, made it nice. And she did eventually get screens. That must have been a red letter day.
Really?
This was her favorite place to write. Her husband Charles built that, as I told you in his note he wrote. He built it, we think, to play poker with his brother.
This is the original table and typewriter where Rawlings wrote many of her books.
She lived here without electricity until 1938 when she sold the Yearling, and she was able to buy her own generator to make electricity. She didn't like the way the glaring light bulbs looked hanging from the ceiling on both of these lights over here. And so she went in her kitchen and got mixing bowls, painted them white, and she flipped those upside down and made indirect lighting throughout the house. Just to kind of soften the light.
I know.
The closet to the left of the fireplace was originally for storing firewood. She turned it into her liquor cabinet. Yep. So she said, I keep my firewood on the bottom and my fire water on the top. Country says, oh, I read that in India when I was 12 years old. I mean, the Yearling made Marjorie Rawlings a world famous figure.
Wow.
So let's go through her books real quick. Jacob's Ladder is that first book she sold for $700, and she knew what she was going to do with the money. She put the first indoor plumbing in all of Cross Creek. We're going to go through there in just a minute. You'll see it. She was so excited she threw a party in the bathroom. The bathtub was filled with ice with her soda in the bathtub, a silver tray over the sink with her beautiful glassware, and in the toilet bowl for the night was a bouquet of roses. She wins the Pulitzer Prize in 1939 for it, and MGM comes along and pays her $30,000 for the movie rights, and that's the most money that woman has ever seen. That was a lot of money back then. I think it won it won an Oscar that year for the best cinematography. Marjorie's early writing is quite racist. She was a product of her time, and becoming friends with Zora Neale Hurston turned her around, and she wrote these beautiful letters about a new understanding about race. And Marjorie was considered quite liberal compared to everybody else out here too, but beautiful relationship.
We are on the back porch with a glimpse of the outhouse and a close-up of the outhouse. Our guide told us that this outhouse used to have a screen door. Not so good for privacy, but great for staying cooler.
What she looked like when she graduated from the University of Wisconsin.
Pretty.
Very pretty. English major, Phi Beta Kappa graduate. Her first husband's nickname for her was Skinny, but we know she didn't stay that way because we have all of her letters, and if we're all going to raise our hand, I'm going to take that 10 pounds off. I'm going to stop drinking that. I'm going to start doing this. And she was always struggling with her weight.
Here is the garden behind the house. It hasn't been planted yet, but it will be planted soon, and they will cook the food that they grow here. The houses were separate. This covering between them was added later.
So these are 3 different little houses right next to each other.
Beautiful.
They were all part of the same home. They weren't owned by 3 different people. It was one family that owned the 3 houses. And it wasn't unusual to have your kitchen be separate from your main
so
house. And the bedroom wing, when the family that was here way before Rawlings grew, they needed more bedrooms. And those 2 bedrooms were dragged in by a team of oxen. But it was all here when she got in her. So, by the way, we are going to be starting in November. If you look on our website, we're going to be cooking on the wood stove once a month. And if you look on the website, it'll tell you all about it. It's just starting, so I can't tell you a whole lot of detail, but it's going to be limited to the number of people that come on the tour at that time. We'll be cooking foods from the garden, using her cookbook, the same recipes that she had. And it just makes this room
And it's
come alive.
once a month?
It's going to be in November, December, January, February.
Okay.
Only in the cold months, because this stove heats up. And we need the heat, because we don't have any heat in this house. So I love it when we're going to be doing that. Icebox kept Marjorie's food cold when she was in the summer. They would put a 50-pound block of ice in here, and their ice came from Hawthorne, Florida, about 15 miles away. So one day, Marjorie is sitting here where you guys are sitting, and a guy walked across the yard with a pair of baby raccoons. And he said, "Miss Rawlings, you want these baby raccoons?" Because everybody knew she loved critters. And she said, "Well, I'll take one." And in Cross Creek, she writes about this. She says, "You know what? Anybody here a twin?"
Yeah.
Tell you, uh-oh. Okay, you can tell me if it's true. Marjorie said, when there's twins, there's always one good one and one evil one. Which one are you?
She's the good one. She's the good one.
She's a good one.
I've never had a single twin say, "Yeah, I'm the evil one." But she says, "Yeah, I got the evil one," and she named him Racket, and Racket was just a house pet. He ran free around the house.
Yeah.
He was always getting into trouble. One day she was out on the front porch having drinks with her friends, and he came and grabbed her brandy Alexander and glugged it down and passed out on her bed.
Wow.
That's so funny.
He would go under the dining room table and nip ankles, and he could get into anything. So he liked to get inside the ice box. So he would come along and with his little clever raccoon paws would open this up and climb in there on that block of ice, either just to chill or maybe to eat some raw bacon that was sitting on the ice. So one day, this has gotten closed a little, and the Iceman comes to deliver the ice, and he opens this up, and a raccoon explodes into his chest, scares the poor man to death, and he screams, and Rawlings comes running in. "What's wrong?" And he says, "Miss Rawlings, I'm not bringing you any more ice till you stop keeping your critters in the icebox." So poor little Racket got shipped off to live with Ross Allen in the Silver Spring Zoo.
Yeah.
And poor little Racket escaped, taking 5 other raccoons with him. So he's not so poor.
Aww.
That's the story of Racket, and she writes all about that.
Syrup cattle. So it dates back to the 1930s. So they're swimming in an original
A syrup kettle? What?
Cane
What?
syrup.
Cane syrup.
Syrup, yes.
So she had sugar cane up here?
It was used for boiling sugar cane. So whoever brought it in, that was a syrup boiling kettle.
Wow. Okay, let's go look at that. I've never seen a syrup boiling kettle before. How deep is it?
Not very. Maybe a foot at the most, but we have to change it every day because the 4 ducks get very frisky in there.
Oh, to wash clothes in.
Yes.
Yes. The clothes washing. So this was the washing machine.
You can heat this up for hot water and have your hot water wash.
Well, very cool.
Go to scrubbing.
Yeah, we got our the scrub boards in there. So.
Wow. This is a hiking trail into the woods. Along it are some of Rawlings' sayings. Here are a couple of them. Then we have the reconstructed tenant's house. Notice the clothesline in front of it. Now we are on the front porch. It's very rustic. Let's walk in the front door. There's a bed and a table. This is the middle section, a window and the kitchen. Here is the other bedroom with a bed, a table, and an attic as part of the house. A handsome rooster sitting behind the tenant house and a huge oak tree with a palm tree growing right underneath it. I thought that was rather unusual. And that pretty much does it for Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings Place. About the movie's called Cross Creek and it's found on Prime. I watched it and I agree it wasn't totally accurate. However, it was accurate enough to make me feel proud of Rawlings for sticking to what she knew she could do and for who she became. Her old place deserved to become a state park. Her book, The Yearling, also was made into a movie, and I watched it a long time ago. It was a great movie as well. To find out more about Cross Creek in northern Florida and take a tour, just look up Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings Historical State Park online. And I highly recommend visiting this place, not only to see how Rawlings lived, but how Florida used to be. I really enjoyed the tour and the place. Now, what's my next podcast going to be about? Drug rehab, very interesting. It's going to be a really cool presentation. Backyard bees, also very interesting with one of my neighbors. Or the 100th anniversary of the Peggy Adams Animal Rescue League. They do a lot for animals. If you haven't already, check out my website, www.starsmiley.com. And other than that, Star signing out. Take care. See you on the next podcast.